What's going on, guys? This is ONF and we're just touching in for another crypto market analysis video. Before we get stuck in, let's get the disclaimer out of the way. This is not a signals channel. The content here is purely educational. I am not a financial advisor and the content in these videos is not financial advice. This video is also not intended for the residents of the UK. Now, with all that said and done, let's crack on. I'd also like to take this opportunity to please ask any viewers to like, subscribe, and most importantly to me, guys, please leave a comment in the comment section as to what you think about this video, any feedback, and what you'd like me to integrate into future content. So, of course, we have to start this analysis with the king, and here we're looking at BTC on the weekly. A couple of weeks ago, we had a clear weekly sweep and close underneath that 69k level, which at the moment is the level that all of our eyes are on. And then you can see last week we had a candle which had a large sell-off, but then got bought back aggressively. And now we're just hovering underneath that 69k level, looking and waiting for some sort of resolution in the markets. Now, I've had some comments over social media about how overextended the RSI is, especially on the higher time frames. And as we know, the higher time frames are king. There's nothing to be argued there at all. But I just want to point something out here, guys, okay? For those of you that don't know, the RSI on the higher time frames especially is not a useless indicator per se, but prescribing too much weight into it as a counter trend thesis can be quite dangerous, okay? What do I mean by this? Well, you can see where we are now, 84.5 on the weekly RSI, right? So we're at 84.5 and we can see that we hit this level on the last cycle, right? And now let's just put a horizontal line in to see exactly when that occurred. And you can see that 84.5 level on the RSI on the weekly was actually within this candle here, okay? So we still haven't even breached the previous cycle, the 2017 cycle all-time highs, when we're coming up to that 85 level on the RSI. And you can see, you know, what happened afterwards was the real run, okay? So all I'm saying here, guys, is just remember that we're fully in the swing of the next cycle here. And just don't prescribe too much weight and let that sort of data influence your decision-making process, okay? Now, scrolling down to the daily, I'm just gonna put that 69k level back up on the chart. So here we're looking at the daily now, okay? And the daily is actually quite a nice picture for us, really. Reason being is because we tapped into this demand zone here, as you can see. So we tapped into this demand here. And as we did so, we basically come down. We had this bearish divergence on the daily forming purely on the RSI. It wasn't present on the awesome oscillator. But we had this bearish divergence here on the RSI. And you can see that basically price action is making clear higher highs as we swept the level, and the RSI is making lower highs. And now essentially what we've done is just come down and completely cool off and reset the daily RSI here. And to me, looking at the daily picture, this just looks good for continuation from here, okay? So normally these sort of divergences in neutral market conditions, or of course bearish market conditions, you would very much expect for the play out of this divergence to be to the other side of the overextension, i.e. underneath the 30 level on the RSI. But in hyper trending conditions, in bullish environments, in bull runs, etc., essentially all we're really looking for here is some sort of cool off, and here we have a straight cool off to the 50 level. Now, just panning down to the slightly lower time frames, I won't go lower than the 4 hour, but here you can see the 4 hour picture. I'm just going to clean up the chart real quick. And yeah, you can just see the price action in a slightly more granular format. Now, although I think that PA looks good here, and I do, it's a bit of a disappointment to me because I was very much hoping for a sweep of this level here. Actually, I will just quickly pan down to the hourly so you can see, or yeah, even the 2 hour here. You can see we had a nice pocket of demand in here. So essentially my play was going to be waiting for this level to be taken out somewhere around here. I was hoping for it, and then a reclaim here, and then we're looking at back up from here. Had resting bids in this level, you know, around the 57 threes, 57 fours. But it looks like price action is quite strong in this area. And that's just how things play out, guys. Sometimes we don't get our ideal scenarios to long. And I'm going to be looking for acceptance now above the 69K level. And if so, then it seems pretty certain that Bitcoin is going to be going for new highs if we can hold and get accepted above the key 69K level. That being said, we're looking at the aggregated delta now on Bitcoin, and you can see that there have been some wicks of high volume positive delta, both across spot and perps here. But generally speaking, and you know, we'll pan over to ETH quickly soon, generally speaking, you can see that mainly the data has been skewed to the negative side across both spot and perps here. As Bitcoin has come back underneath that 69K level and been range bound here on the lower time frames. So that's a very good sign for bulls, of course. That means that there's passive absorption on the buy side, i.e. there's been a fair bit of market selling into limit bids that have been propping up price and absorbing that sell pressure. And you can also see that perps have been driving the move down primarily versus spot. So all in all, on the aggregated flow side of things, it's a pretty healthy picture for Bitcoin as well. But like I say, of course, all eyes on the 69K level. You know, we treat flow secondary and PA and charts primary. And, you know, the first thing that I really need to see to start thinking about more upside locally is some nice high time frame closes above 69s. So that's it for Bitcoin. Not much more to say on that side of things. And we can just quickly pan over to ETH, take a look at the charts, and then again, look at the flow side of things on ETH. So here we are, and some of the first things we can visually pick up on, of course, on the higher time frame, looking at the weekly on ETH, is that ETH has not taken out its all-time highs. And from this point, we have circa 40% until ETH does so. And you can also see that ETH has had a nice correction at this point. So what are we talking about here? From the highs to the current local low, it was a 25% correction. Okay, guys. Now, what we've been seeing on BTC, actually, I'm just going to pan quickly back to Bitcoin. What we've been seeing on BTC, if we go to the daily, is that in this cycle, comparatively to other cycles, the pullbacks haven't been quite as severe. Okay, so typically we've been looking at 30% corrections across the board, and you can see here we have a 21% correction. Here we have this is more of a consolidation, but still we have a 4% pullback here. From this high to the local low, it was another 20%. And you can see that recently what we've put in is a roundabout 17.5% correction so far. So you can see that the pullbacks have been less severe. And just panning back to Ethereum, a 25% pullback is significant, guys. Okay, it's a very healthy pullback. So if we were to resume, moving aggressively to the upside, that wouldn't be surprising by any means. And I know we just took a look at the BTC aggregated flow, but if we look at it on the Ethereum side of things, it's actually even more interesting than the Bitcoin picture. So panning over now here, and immediately the most eye-catching thing to me on this chart is the fact that there's a ton of negative delta here, okay, accumulated both across the spot and perps markets. You can see the most notable, of course, was this huge correction here that we had on the 5th of March. And then we basically come down and we've taken out these two key levels here and started to put in another load of negative delta. This was a move that luckily I did manage to catch. So as you can see here, I'm in a current long position on Ethereum, essentially from this demand zone here. So you can see that, as I said on Bitcoin, what we were looking for was essentially the key lows to be taken out into demand and then a move back up. So I had a bid filled here on Ethereum. I'm in a long position, and you can see that basically what's happened is price has moved up and we've had this clean hourly support and resistance level to work with. And as we said, things on Bitcoin were looking good for more upside, especially taking a look at the daily picture and that daily RSI reset. But you can see here on ETH, everything from the 25% correction, the higher time frame picture, and the catch-up play that ETH has to do to all-time high, all the way down to these two key liquidity levels being taken out into demand. A lot of damage being done here. We had a clean divergence across the awesome oscillator as we did so. The picture on the aggregated delta side of things, and now we even have a really nice lower time frame hourly level to work with, and things are looking good at current. Again, like I say, if I'm being totally honest, this was a bit of a gamble for me. The reason being is because I didn't think that Bitcoin was done yet, okay? I didn't think Bitcoin was done. We had these key levels on ETH here to take out, and I wanted to play this to the upside just in case of a bounce. But this scenario playing out wasn't exactly in my intended playbook. I did think we were going to head lower, and I was actually bidding quite a few alts at their lows, like I said I was doing with Bitcoin. But there you go, guys. This is the hand that the market has dealt us, and I'm not going to complain because I've caught an ETH long, and I'm also, of course, heavily invested in spot alt positions. Panning over to total 2, because of course we have to take a look at this chart in a market review. And you can see that still, I'm going to keep these boxes drawn onto this chart for the rest of this cycle, so we can see how this plays out. But if you look back at my previous market review videos, we were looking at this break here, we were looking at this exact fractal here, looking at this consolidation above this key SR level that was taken, and looking for a huge amount of upside in this acceleration in green. Now, the weekly picture is looking great. Again, as with Bitcoin, you can see we had that negative candle here, which took out this high, and then we had that sell-off, buyback, strong buyback with a weekly close here, and things are starting to look great again. If you look down to the 3-day or even the daily, things are starting to look really nice for total 2 yet again. And you can see this is very similar to Bitcoin's price action, even though this is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin. But you can see here the dynamics of the RSI on the daily. We've come down, we had that daily divergence. We've come back down to that 50 level. We've retested it, completely cooled off, and we look good for further upside here. So all in all, to conclude, don't get me wrong, I would have liked to see lower prices to load up again on alts and nail some really tasty long positions. But again, as I say, I've been investing into a ton of spot positions. So we have to be grateful for what the market gives us. And if my gut is right and we do start moving aggressively to the upside across the crypto markets, then it will still greatly benefit me, and I'm sure it will benefit a lot of you guys as well. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. Another crypto market analysis video looking at the higher time frames, top-down analysis on BTC ETH and the general altcoin market cap. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's content and garnered some useful insights. And please leave comments in the comments section below. As you know, I've been doing these market reviews for some time, and it generally covers BTC ETH and total 2. But if you'd like me to start looking at other altcoins, some altcoins in particular, then please do let me know in the feedback, and I'll be sure to take it all on board and integrate it into future videos. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. Happy trading, and I'll catch you all next time.